Brent Bowers joins me here again, and you can learn what his team is up to by heading over to thelandsharks.com, thelandsharks.com, all things land investing. And this is going to be a great episode. Really appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's start things off. I'm going to point people to the previous episodes. You do such a great job talking about how you found your way into land investing. We're not going to cover all of that again.
Yeah.
Check out those links in the show notes. But you were talking before we hit record that you've made some changes over the past since the last time we talked.
Yeah, it's implementing systems and, it's almost like the who, not how that Dan Sullivan talks about and Benjamin Hardy. I don't know why I second guessed myself on that, but who, not how getting help with things. And also 10X is easier than 2X. I really realize it's easier to, do something 10 times bigger than two times. So I'm doing less land deals these days. I'm partnering with more people on land deals, whether it be funding their deals or I reach out to people when I have too big of a land deal for myself to do. So it doesn't take as many as I thought. The seller financing land deals are still incredible, but I think in business, maybe it's a lot of business owners are constantly changing their business and doing different things. I think it's because we get bored, but I think if our business is not growing, it's usually going the other direction. So I'm grown quite a bit, but I've also reduced my team as well in the past year. So that's been nice as well. So going on less work trips, working less, smaller team, and making a little bit more money.
You
So
know,
that's been great.
that's kind of interesting because we've been flipping quite a few homes over the past couple of years. And we've actually found now, instead of holding the property and flipping it to its like full potential, we really kind of do like as quick a turnaround. We almost call it a whole tail, where
Yeah.
we're doing as quick of a turnaround as possible, do what is like absolutely required, of
Yeah.
course. But our margins have been fairly consistent and we've been reducing our hold times by a lot.
As well as probably your aggravation as well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that works.
Funny story. I'm actually dealing with it right now. I just missed a call from the insurance company as we're speaking, but I'm getting rid of a lot of my rentals in Colorado because I'm going to 1031 them into, I love light industrial buildings. I just looked at one today as well. So I take my land money, invest it into light industrial with triple net lease tenants because they really pretty much take care of everything as far as triple net leases. They pay their insurance, they pay for the repairs. I'm just in charge of the principal and interest I got to pay for my mortgage. That's about it. So I take my land money and I invest it into further cash flowing assets, and it gives me so many benefits. It gives me appreciation for that real estate. It's going to appreciate eventually. It gives me mortgage pay down because I'm getting mortgages on these properties, either through seller financing or the banks, which I prefer not to use banks. I'd rather use regular people and pay them more because it's just easier. And I can do a deal way faster with a private individual than I can a bank, an
Mhm.
institution. And I got to go to a bank, then we're going to close in probably 3 to 4 months. So like, I don't care if they tell us 30 days or not, it's not going to happen in 30 days. And the realtor's just shaking her head, but it gives me mortgage pay down, debt pay down. So every time I pay a payment, every time the tenant pays the payment, the rent, it pays down my mortgage and my equity builds, hopefully in a regular cycle real estate, they go up and down. But the best thing it gives me is cost segregation or depreciation. So I get to pretty much eliminate my tax bill if I buy enough real estate. And I didn't create this. It's a government tax IRS loophole that they gave us to do this. There's a reason why Donald Trump and Warren Buffett don't pay hardly any taxes because they do the loopholes. Oh yeah. By the way, these properties will be paid off in like 15 years and there'll be further cash flow. They're netting money every month. So I'm taking my land money that I get, the monthly payments that I get from that, as well as our quick flip land deals and reinvesting them. So we just keep building the snowball. But that's why I'm selling all my single family properties as well, because, most of them net maybe $300 a month, but there's a guarantee every couple months, something's going to break. And I just listed one, and going back to the hotel, tenant moved out. We gave them their full security deposit back because all we had to do was clean the carpets and a professional clean the house. I couldn't believe it. The tenants gave us back this beautiful house. It was listed for 1 day and a pipe burst and destroyed the ceiling, basement.
Unbelievable.
And I told my wife last night, I went to bed so sick. I was like, unbelievable. So sick because I was like, I knew it wasn't going to be that easy. I knew it.
That's unreal.
Yeah, Colorado got like 15 below, even though the furnace and I'm sorry, the boiler was on, it still got it, which kills me. It was in the middle of the house. Something strange might have happened. It's a little weird how we never had an issue until realtors started walking through there.
Now, we've had similar situations where everything looks good, we're all set, and then we have a cold snap or something happen. And there's 4 or 5 years ago, I was standing in ankle deep water in a basement in the middle of winter, installing a sump pump, trying to get that basement pumped up.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
funny. The pictures they sent me, it's like over the top of the sump pump. I don't even know if the sump pump kicked on, but this is like the third or fourth time this has happened. Second time on a recently listed house. The third time, the one time was an $8,000 water bill. I think I'm gonna stop having water on at my properties.
I just,
That's why the
yeah, and
land.
it, well, that's one of the things that just interests me here now that you said you're basically doing these light commercial properties. Is that something new since the last time we talked, or is
That's the new
that's
thing.
it's interesting you're diversifying into that asset.
Because I noticed it with my office building when we left Colorado Springs. I rented the office out, and I was like, man, I'm netting like $1,500 a month, and the mortgage is paying down, and the tenants never asked for anything. I was like, how do I get into this on an even better scenario? So I saw a metal building down the street from my house. I was like, I should buy that thing. I think there's going to be some demand for it, maybe a roofing company or whatnot. And I had some cash, and I was looking at what my IRS bill was going to be for this was in 2023. And I talked to my CPA and I said, what if I buy a $500,000 building? He said, you'll basically be able to eliminate your taxes by about $75,000. So I said, okay, submit a full price offer. And that was kind of where the realization was like, well, I'm paying so much taxes to the IRS, but I can take that money and put it as a down payment and almost eliminate that tax bill. Consult your CPA about this. I can't depreciate land. It doesn't go down in value. There's nothing that will deteriorate on land. So the IRS doesn't allow me to depreciate that. But if it's got a building on it or it's a mobile home park, you can rapid depreciate these things and save.
So it sounds like this was a great fit. You had this property right down the road from you. You saw the potential.
Trying to buy the whole street. I bought the one next door this past February. So wow, it's almost a year now, and rented it out to the same tenant. And I just looked at another one about 6 blocks over. But yeah, they're easy to manage, and it's really a tax play because I'm either going to pay the IRS or buy some more real estate.
Mhm.
And in 10 years of doing this, you could become a deca millionaire if you play the cards right. Now I pay the CPA quite a bit of money as well to help me with this, but it's like I'd rather invest it into more cash flowing real estate than hand it over to the government. Now, I strongly believe we should all pay taxes because someone's got to pay for the roads, someone's got to pay the military. Which thank you to the taxpayers for because I was in the military for 8.5 years, so I appreciate it. But every real estate transaction we do, it provides like 30 something jobs. I could be off on that number a little bit, but think about it.
Yeah. No, well, I think it's cool that you called out making sure you got the proper tax preparer who can help you with this type of things. There's been a few times where I've talked to tax preparers and they frankly don't know what I'm even talking about half the time. So it's good to vet these people out and make sure that you got somebody who understands real estate and how to take advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you need someone, let me know. But you're right. I was getting into all these rich dad, poor dad, Ken Will Wright, I believe, Tom Will Wright. And I was coming up with all these ideas for my past couple of CPAs. I feel like I get a new one every year. And when they tell me, oh, that's a good idea, that's how you know right there. You probably need a new CPA, one that understands what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So let's get in back into the land investing. You said you're doing bigger deals, maybe partnering with others. Like
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about the partnering with others. How is that looking for you?
Yeah, one of the things I've been doing is I've been partnering with a lot of our land sharks community members. As you know, I coach people with the land sharks, and we bring on a few people a month. And You can teach people how to find deals, but one of the hardest things I think for people to learn is how to be a deal finder. You can be a deal creator and a deal finder. It's easier to become a deal finder faster. The thing that a lot of people have a hard time getting their hands around, if they've got maybe $1,000 in their bank account or 2,000 or 3,000, the hardest thing that people have, I've found, is how to find the money to make that a great deal and to connect that, buy that deal, and then connect that deal with the buyer that you're going to sell it to. So a lot of people can't fathom, like, who would want to give me money? I don't know what I'm doing. Is this a good deal? It's almost a confidence issue I see in the beginning. So if I can be the guy to help them either find the funding for it or provide the funding or point them in the right direction for the funding, that's where I've been helping, doing additional deals, bigger deals with others. And then sometimes people send me deals and I'm just like, I can't fund that. So we got other land sharks that have way deeper pockets than me that they'll fund it. So that's been really cool to get in on and see all those deals. We're doing one right now. Just to give you an example, we have 38 acres and we're turning it into 80 lots. We got through the wetland study, our survey, our subdivide, and now we're getting engineered drawings of where everything's going to go. As soon as we have that, we've got a major home builder that's right next door building houses that's hopefully going to give us a letter of intent sometime next week on that property. We'll be about 500K into that deal. We're under contract. We don't actually own that land, but we're working with the landowner to do all this engineering and surveys and plat maps, and they're signing off on this stuff. It's a 1-year contract. But when we get all this, we call it entitlements done, we now transfer this over to this home builder for $2 million. So we create almost $1.5 million worth of equity in this deal. Now, the only way that could be better for the home builder is if we went in and built the roads, because how do home builders make money? The way home builders make money is by the square foot. They're paying $80 a square foot to build these houses, but they're selling them for $180 a square foot. They only got to sell 10 homes to pay for this land. The other 70 are pure profit for them.
Yeah. So, you have this property under contract for 500,000.
400 actually.
So is it fair to say that the other 100,000 is the money, time, and effort that you've put in?
Yep.
At this point? I just want to give people the impression of exactly how much work and value you're adding here.
That's right. We'll have about $100,000 into entitlements. The survey, the engineering is the most expensive. It's like $70,000. And that's why most landowners, when they think their land's worth $2 million, it's not. You got to put $100K into it in a year worth of work, and you got to know what you're doing and know the people, know the planner, know the developers, the planning and zoning, the city council, the mayor. What do they want? Because if you go against the grain, you just spent a bunch of money. And what I mean by that is if the city doesn't want it, it's not going to happen. So I didn't start there though. I've been doing land deals since 2016. I started with $285 land deals and I sold them for $5,000. Well, maybe you can see yourself buying a couple $100 land deal and selling it for $5,000, because that's how I started. And when I was in the military, an extra $5,000 a month literally more than doubled my income.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I thought I was rich, honestly.
Well, I think that's some of the core things I'd like to touch on again, because the concept of what you're bringing up, kind of a smaller opportunity, actually can be life-changing for many people.
It was for me. It changed my life. I still am thankful today for that.
So before we get into that, I'm going to point everybody to your site again, thelandsharks.com, thelandsharks.com. There's a ton of resources and information there. So if you're interested in land investing, at least the way Brent does it, you should definitely go check that out, as well as Brent's YouTube channel. There's a lot of great content there. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a quick like and subscribe. So, Brent, can you talk a little bit about some of those early deals and what you're seeing some of your students doing? Because I'm definitely finding that it is such a cool thing to see when somebody actually puts in the time and effort and they land that first deal, and then the second one quickly follows. It's like this light bulb moment that just changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a guy that just signed up. He's out in Oregon. and he got one under contract for 15,000, recreational land, not even buildable. And he's selling it for $70,000. And I'm just like, I wish that was my first deal. I think it would have broke my brain, honestly. But my first deal, and I might have mentioned it on the last episode, was I got a piece of land. It was tax delinquent. The seller was about to lose it to the tax lien investor. Basically, he had been paying the back taxes for years, and it became deed eligible. So he was about to lose it. Sure, for $285, which that's what the back tax amount was. So I went and looked at the land. I didn't know what I was doing back then. It was 2016. It was about an hour drive. I called the real estate office really close to the land, and I told her what I had going on. I was like, "What's your blowout price? What do you think you could sell this for really quickly?" She said $10,000. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." I had it under contract for $285. I got it literally a one-page contract with the gentleman, retired CPA, by the way. Didn't really not a big deal. Wasn't going to change his life. I called him and I said, "Hey, I'll buy it on Tuesday of next week, if that's okay. Is it okay if I write you a check? And by the way, we hold the check till like Wednesday evening because I don't really have that much money in my account." And then we're talking about $285. So he said, "Yeah, that's no problem." What had happened was that realtor, we had a good conversation. She's like, "Well, Brent, what if I just bought it from you?" Because I told her I was in the process of buying it. And she gave me an offer of 5 grand. I said, "It's yours. Send me a contract. When do you want to close?" She said, "I'll close Wednesday." So I called the seller. I said, "I'll pay you Tuesday, but you can't cash it till Wednesday night." So I got a quit claim deed. I didn't do any title search, which was dumb on my part. I made a lot of mistakes on my first probably 20 something land deals. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kept moving forward. I took it to the land title insurance company on Tuesday, and they messaged me. They emailed me on Wednesday, said, "Hey, your certified check's ready for you to pick up." So they actually held the door open for me for like 5 minutes because I got off work too late. And I got that $5,000 check. This cannot be possible because I had rentals. I had 7 doors at the time, and I was drowning in debt, and I was evicting tenants. I was like, I can never leave my job on these rental properties. If I quit my army job, I probably would have lost all the rental properties because everything was breaking constantly on those properties. But the next one turned out even better than the first one. Life-changing stuff. 5 grand. I mean, it was big for me. That was like I was making like $4,200 a month in the military at that time.
Well, could you talk a little bit like now the light bulb went off and you're just like, this can't be real, but obviously it is. Did the next one happen quicker? Did it seem
Yeah.
to become easier? It's like, because now you actually believe this is possible. That
Yeah.
level of that confidence
The proof
comes
of
forth.
concept. Yeah, and I'll tell you the second one happened better because of my lack of confidence in the parcel of land. So the second one was almost 5 acres right next to Fort Carson, not accessible, landlocked land surrounded by state land. I went and bought it sight unseen. I paid the lady $500 for it. And I still remember she said, "I don't know what you're going to ever do with this godforsaken land." I said, "I don't know either." So I went and got photos after I'd paid her. I drove up to Denver, Colorado. Then I drove all the way back to Colorado Springs, got photos, put them on Craigslist, and I just wanted my money back. $500 down. I did $500 down, 400 a month, total of $5,000. I had a buyer. This was a week later, by the way, on Saturday. I had a buyer that Sunday brought $500 cash to my house, signed a land contract, a contract for deed that I pretty much got off the internet. And basically he paid me $400 a month for the next, what, I think it was 11 months to make that. And he paid some payments early. That one changed my mindset. It was a paradigm shift for me because I was like, man, this guy's paying my truck payment. I just got to do this 10 more times and I'm financially free. That's because my bills were probably about 4,400 a month back then because I was spending about as much as I was making. Sure enough, we did it. We did it in almost like 12 months time. By month 18 of that, I was at about 12. I was $12,000 a month.
Hmm.
Yeah, coming in.
I think this is something that I want to call out, and I hate to do this because it's kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people because there are a lot of benefits in holding single family homes as rental properties. Like you mentioned earlier, you got the appreciation, depreciation, and hopefully cash flow and everything associated with it. However, when you have the air conditioner or the furnace going out, that literally can blow your cash flow for the whole year.
Yeah,
But you're accomplishing, it almost sounds like you stumbled into this to a certain extent
I did.
of land. And like there's no moving parts here. There's no pipe freezing and flooding basements.
Well, that exact house, that was the reason why I'm selling that house. I was actually going negative every month by $125 a month because the insurance went up. And then I just replaced the boiler, which was like 7 grand. So let's just say I was making $700 a month net on that house, which I was. That would have taken me out for what, 10 months? 10 months, no profit. How can someone ever leave their job, even if I had 30 rentals? I wouldn't have been able to leave my job. Now, 30 years from now, they might all be paid for, but then we can sell some of them. But yeah, I don't know how people make money with rental properties on houses until they sell them.
So when you were getting into this, did you like literally just kind of stumble into this, or did you find
Yeah.
somebody with this idea and you kind of latched onto it? Did you get some mentorship yourself? How did that all look?
So I was a wholesaling Inc. student. I was going through the wholesaling Inc. program, and I've got the luxury and the blessing of being their land coach now for wholesaling Inc. But I was wholesaling houses. I was trying to wholesale houses because I had paid for college by wholesaling a couple houses. I would go and door knock people that were in foreclosure, and I would get their house under contract for about what they owed or a little bit more, and then find a cash buyer that's willing to kind of like save them. And I'd make a few grand off of it, sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8 grand. But when I moved out to Colorado Springs, that market was really getting competitive at that time. So I was doing a few deals, but I was missing a lot of them. I would get the call, and by the time I can get out to the house, someone already would have bought it. So I was spending a fortune in mailers. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to do real estate. I've got these rentals. They're costing me an arm and a leg. Wholesaling houses sounds great, but I'm working too much for the Army. I can't, I'm like working 13 hours a day. So I would have a lunch break and I would fly off base and go see this house. And I would have 20 minutes to talk to the seller and I'd have to fly back. And, you can't, like, unless they're just super low hanging fruit, like I didn't get a lot of deals by doing that. So I was searching for answers, listening to podcasts. I heard a guy talking about flipping land and doubling his money overnight. And I was like, okay, no one's ever said that in real estate that I've heard. Oh, by the way, I didn't think you could make money with land. I was like, no one's talking about this. So I'm completely against the herd mentality. I think the herd, eventually, if they run long enough, they go off the cliff together. So I wanted to be opposite of everyone else. So I heard this guy. So I used the same mentorship I had gotten with wholesaling houses, and I started utilizing it for land only. And my phone darn near melted with people calling me back. There was absolutely no competition whatsoever back in 2016 with land. Now people are starting to catch on a little bit.
Can I ask you, like, a lot of the land deals that I would imagine you're sending mailings and information out to farmers, for example, that this farmland might have been in their family for generations. Do you ever, or how frequently do you get people calling in a little upset that you're pennies on the dollar
Yeah.
offer?
More people will not accept our offer than will accept it. Most people will not accept it. But yeah, sometimes they call a little upset. And I'm not just mailing farmland. I'll mail anywhere there's land selling now at this point because I want to go where the demand's at and fill that demand. But yeah, there are some people that get upset from time to time. I don't understand it, but I don't know if they call Capital One and cuss them out, but it happens. There's a reason why I got this rhinoceros behind me as my wall paper is because you got to have thick skin in this business and always be charging forward.
Yeah. No, I even have, you're probably familiar with
Ah, what a
right,
great book.
right now.
Yeah, I met Scott Alexander, the author, several years ago. What a great guy. Just a great book. Another one he's got is Rain or Shine. It's a good book too.
Yeah, you got to kind of just plow through some things. So you learned a lot of lessons along the way, especially early on. Like, when you're teaching students these days, are you seeing some very similar repetitive mistakes, like the same things coming up early on?
Oh yeah. And my passion is coaching people. Love getting people their first deal or their second or their third. But yeah, a lot of them is just breaking through their own limiting beliefs. I talked about the money thing. So many people think that they don't know anybody with money because they don't have money. That doesn't mean they don't know anybody. They just don't realize, or that person hasn't told them. That's a major limiting belief. Another one is like, I don't want to borrow money from anybody to do a deal. Well, there's one thing I found about people with money. They like to make more money. They don't need any more. They just like to do it. So they're glad to lend the money out on a real estate deal that we're buying that's worth 100,000 and we're buying it for 50,000. That's a no-brainer deal for them. And we secure it with the real estate. We get a title insurance policy. That's a lot of limiting beliefs. And a lot of them think that, well, this works for you or someone else. How can it work for me? And you share enough successful community members with them week after week after week and give them the action steps that will get them a result as quick as possible. What are the action steps? Find where land's in demand, price that land out, get the offer letters out every single day, make offers. There's only two income producing activities in land investing. Get offers out every day to landowners. And then when you get a deal under contract, a purchase agreement at a good price, sell that contract or buy that land from the landowner by making the offer and go out and sell it to someone else for a little bit more. That's it. Those are the income producing activities. Make offers. But if you show them enough, the result will come eventually. It's just a matter of time. It's when it comes, not if.
The disposition of these properties have always kind of been interesting too, because I think you might have mentioned previously, you're actually selling that land to the neighbor.
That's funny you say that because I had a piece of land listed for 3 months in Georgia and I forgot about it. We've listed with a land sales specialist real estate agent. And as I'm signing the closing documents at my house, I see where the seller's address is, same street as mine. I was like, oh, we should have sent the neighbor a letter.
Yeah. This is really interesting, especially farmland, because it would make sense that the neighboring farm might want to expand.
Yeah, it's true. I just did 20 acres in Florida and the neighbor reached out to us and said, I'll take it. And we sold it to him pretty quickly and made a quick $95,000 on it.
So it makes you wonder, because I get this questions regarding houses all the time. Like, why aren't these people just listing these and trying to sell it themselves? Why would they
Yeah.
rather sell it to you?
I stopped asking why a long time ago. A lot of times, hey, why don't you just list this with a realtor? Well, they always have the reasons. I guess it's why it's the same reason why people take a Rolex to a pawn shop.
Just the convenience of it.
Speed and convenience. Sometimes they don't like realtors. I don't know. You name it.
Just to remind everybody, it is thelandsharks.com, thelandsharks.com. Is there a question or any thought that we should have tried to cover here so far?
No, I just, I think that you give pure gold on this show. And I just hope that people take advantage of it and take action and, you know, like and subscribe and share this thing up. Like it takes a lot of work to host these things and edit them, and much appreciated to you for being willing to give.
No, I appreciate your time, Brent. Every time you come on, there's a piece of more and more value. So I really appreciate that. Well, if you're ready, we'll jump into the rapid fire and close out the episode.
I've been excited for it, Jack.
Number one, what lie do real estate investors tell themselves?
What lie?
Yeah.
Oh boy, there's no deals out there. I'm going to sit on the sidelines and wait for the market to crash again. I think you should always be the MVP, the most valuable player, always be going for the ball, because so many people are sitting on the sidelines. Some people don't even buy a ticket to come to the stadium. I think you should be out there going for the ball. I call it dollar cost averaging real estate. I always want to be buying. I sell a lot, but I want to be always buying as well and keeping some of this gold, because one day I'm going to get old and I'm going to run out of energy. And I hope some of this stuff's paid for that I can keep eating.
Yeah. If you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would that be?
Keep more of this real estate, partner with others, share more of what I was doing sooner. I should have started a YouTube channel in 2007. and started sharing what I'm doing.
Do you have a book recommendation?
I love the book, The Wealthy Gardener. I'm actually reading The Daily Dad by Ryan Holiday. He also wrote The Daily Stoic. I love The Wealthy Gardener if you're in learning about real estate. And every morning I read a book of the Bible,
And finally, what single strategy or tool have you implemented that has had the biggest time-saving impact to you or your business?
aka executive assistant.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Brent. Again, one more time, thelandsharks.com, thelandsharks.com. Fantastic resources there, but hope you'll consider coming back sooner.
Thanks for having me, Jack. And I hope no one takes offense that I didn't really refer to my office manager as a tool. She's an amazing employee.
Thanks for the clarification, Brent.
Bye-bye.